Part 1. Ignore those who ignore you. Stoic principle. Indifference is your shield, not your weakness. You've been ignored. Maybe it was that friend who suddenly stopped replying to your texts. Or a boss who constantly overlooks your contributions. Maybe it was someone you opened your heart to only to feel invisible in return. Being ignored isn't just frustrating, it stings. It makes you question your worth. It tempts you to beg, to explain, to chase. But what if I told you that being ignored is actually one of the greatest gifts Stoicism can help you unlock? Let's break it down. The Stoics Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca didn't waste time trying to force the universe or other people to treat them a certain way. Instead, they trained themselves to respond with power, not pain. And that starts with this. Ignore those who ignore you, not out of spite, but out of wisdom. Reframing rejection. You're not being cut off, you're being set free. Here's the truth. When someone chooses not to see your value, that doesn't mean it isn't there. It just means they don't have the vision to see it. Their silence, their disinterest, their dismissal, it's not your problem to fix. It's a mirror reflecting their limitations, not yours. Too often, we confuse being ignored with being insignificant. But those are two very different things. One is someone else's behavior. The other is your identity. Don't let their behavior rewrite who you are. Indifference is a shield, not a wall. Let's make this clear. Ignoring someone who ignores you is not petty. It's not playing games. It's choosing emotional self-respect over emotional chaos. When you refuse to chase after someone's attention, you're not shutting down, you're stepping up. You're saying, I have better places to be. I have more important things to pour my energy into. You're not walling yourself off, you're shielding your energy. You're deciding that your emotional availability is something people should earn, not exploit. Because every second you spend chasing someone who doesn't see you is a second you could have spent building yourself, discovering new passions, or bonding with people who do see your worth. Shift your focus from them to you. Let's go even deeper. Imagine for a second all that emotional energy, the spiraling thoughts, the sadness, the anger, you redirected it. Where? To your own development. To your own joy. To your own peace. Instead of replaying the silence in your head, you read that book you've been meaning to finish. You sign up for that class you keep putting off. You take a long walk without checking your phone every 5 minutes, hoping for a notification. You live. You reclaim your emotional autonomy. And here's the magic. Once you stop chasing, your posture changes. You no longer need to prove anything. And people sense that. They sense that you're grounded, that you're unshaken by absence. That's when they come back. But by then, maybe you've already outgrown the need for their presence. What Marcus Aurelius would say in his meditations. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed." Don't feel harmed and you haven't been. This is the Stoic core. Your perception creates your experience. If you decide that being ignored harms you, it will. If you decide it's simply noise that doesn't deserve your attention, it disappears. Rejection doesn't define you, your reaction does. The moment you stop assigning meaning to someone else's indifference, you liberate yourself from their control. You don't need their response to validate your reality. The mirror strategy. Reflect. Don't react. There's a powerful technique in Stoic psychology I call the mirror strategy. When someone ignores you, don't retaliate. Just reflect. Hold up an invisible mirror. Let their behavior bounce back to them. Don't engage in drama. Don't argue, plead, or send one more long paragraph at 2 a.m. Your silence becomes the mirror that reflects their own avoidance, insecurity, or emotional immaturity. And in that mirror, they'll either confront it or walk away. Either way, you win. Build the fortress of self-respect. Being ignored can make you feel small, but it's also an invitation to build something massive. Your fortress of self-respect. Brick by brick. Each time you choose not to send that just checking in text, that's a brick. Each time you turn off your notifications and dive into a passion project, another brick. Each time you walk away from a situation that drains your energy, solid foundation. Soon, you're not building walls to keep people out. You're building standards for who gets to come in. People who ignore you don't get to be architects of your identity. You are. Practical tips. How to ignore without bitterness. Let's make this real. Here are some simple, Stoic-inspired tools to practice emotional indifference. Name it without shame. Say it out loud or journal it. I'm feeling rejected. Naming an emotion strips it of its control. Use the 3-day rule. Feeling like reaching out? Wait 72 hours. If you still feel the urge after 3 days, revisit it. Often, the need fades as your clarity grows. Audit your attention. Where's your time going? What accounts are you checking? Who are you thinking about? Reinvest your attention in something real. Lean into connection elsewhere. Don't isolate. Reconnect with people who do respond. Your worth isn't universal, it's contextual. Change the context. Create, don't chase. Every time you want to text them, create something instead. A drawing, a journal entry, a workout session. Rejection loses power when you produce instead of pursue. Final truth. You are not optional. Read that again. You are not optional. If someone treats you like an afterthought, a plan B, a background character, it doesn't mean you are one. It means they never had the range to understand what you offer. That's not your burden to carry. That's their blind spot to live with. You are not here to convince someone to see your light. You're here to shine consistently, quietly, brilliantly. The Stoic takeaway: to ignore those who ignore you is not cruelty, it's clarity. It's not retreat, it's wisdom. It's not coldness, it's emotional discipline. The goal is not to become bitter or closed off. The goal is to stop leaking energy into people who don't value your presence. Let them fade into the background. Let your life get louder with purpose. You're not being arrogant, you're being aligned. You are not here to beg to be seen. You're here to see yourself. And when you truly do, the world adjusts. Part 2. Don't react emotionally. Stoic principle. Master your emotions or they will master you. You get rejected. You feel the sting instantly. Maybe it's a cold email, a silent treatment, a breakup that blindsides you, or being left unread for days. Whatever it is, something inside you flares. You want to lash out. Prove your worth. Demand clarity. Or maybe you want to collapse and spiral into shame and self-pity. But what if, right in that moment of heat, you did the opposite? What if you didn't react at all? Not because you're numb. Not because you're weak. But because you're disciplined. Stoicism 101. Emotion is not the enemy. Reaction clear something up. Stoicism doesn't ask you to suppress your emotions like a robot. It doesn't tell you to pretend you're not hurt, or to deny your feelings. What it teaches is emotional governance, the art of not letting temporary emotions create permanent damage. Think of your emotions like wild horses, strong, intense, powerful. But if you let them take the reins, they can lead you off a cliff. You must hold the reins. When rejection hits, the Stoic pause becomes your secret weapon. moment of breath. A moment of reflection. A moment where you ask, what's really happening here? Am I reacting to them or to my own story about them? Is this pain or is this ego? Most of the time, the real pain isn't the rejection itself, it's what we tell ourselves about that rejection. The ego trap. They don't want me? Something's wrong with me. Let's be honest, rejection bruises the ego, not necessarily the soul, not the self. But the ego, the part of us that seeks approval, applause, attention. And when that approval gets denied, the ego flares up loudly. I must not be good enough. I should have tried harder. Maybe if I changed, they'd accept me. That's the ego talking. Stoicism tells us, you are not your ego. And your ego's panic is not your truth. Rejection does not mean you're defective. It doesn't mean you failed at being lovable or valuable. It just means this wasn't your place. Not right now. Not with these people. Not in this moment. And that's okay. The pain is real. But it's not a verdict. What Epictetus would say, the Stoic philosopher Epictetus famously said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. You cannot stop rejection from showing up in your life, but you can choose how to meet it. With fury, or with calm, with begging, or with detachment, with self-pity, or with quiet strength. When you react emotionally, you give rejection power. When you respond with clarity, you reclaim that power for yourself. Pause, then choose. Let's break this into a practical Stoic tool. Stoic tool step rejection response. Ritual 1. Breathe. Seriously, just pause. Take 3 slow, deep breaths. Oxygen lowers your heart rate. It clears the fog. It gives you room to respond, not react. 2. Name the emotion. Label it. I feel humiliated. I feel angry. I feel small. Naming the emotion doesn't make you weak, it weakens the emotion's grip on you. 3. Ask yourself one grounding question. If I were watching a friend go through this, what would I tell them? Instant perspective shift. 4. Act with intention or not at all. Sometimes the strongest move is no move at all. You don't need to text them. You don't need to explain. You don't need to lash out. Sometimes you just let it be. Calm is not weakness, it's power. In today's world, where people are quick to fire off dismiss, call-outs, emotional rants and screenshots of messages, calmness is revolutionary. You don't retaliate. When you don't beg for closure, when you don't crumble or explode, you become a presence that commands respect. Not everyone will understand your calm. They'll wonder why you're not freaking out. That's because they're not used to. People who have nothing to prove. But here's what calm gives you. Clarity of thought, a sense of dignity, control over your energy, emotional independence. And all of those qualities, extremely rare, extremely powerful. The modern Stoic response in real life. Let's make it real with a few examples. Scenario 1. You text someone, they ghost you. Gives old response. Double text. Did I say something wrong? Gives Stoic response. Pause. Delete the thread. Move on. Their silence is the closure. Scenario 2. You get passed up for a promotion. Gives old response. Vent to everyone. Get bitter. Gives Stoic response. Quietly double down on growth. Build your skills. Let results speak. Their overlook isn't your limit. Scenario 3. A friend excludes you from plans. Gives old response. Ask, why didn't you invite me? Gives Stoic response. Focus on other friendships. Don't chase. Rejection reveals alignment, not your value. What inner stillness looks like. Stoicism isn't about being detached from life. It's about being unshaken by the waves. You can still feel deeply. You can still want connection. You can still love, but you don't fall apart when something doesn't go your way. You don't need them to understand you. You don't need them to fix it. You understand that your emotions are visitors, not dictators. You honor them, but you don't hand them the keys to your life. That's what emotional strength really looks like. The Stoic takeaway: when rejection strikes, your first reaction will always be emotional. That's human. But the moment after that, that's where your power lives. The Stoic teaches, let reason replace reaction. Let dignity replace desperation. You don't have to be cold to be calm. You don't have to pretend it didn't hurt. You simply choose to meet it with poise, not panic. That's what makes you powerful. That's what makes you different. In a world that reacts fast, you respond slow. You respond smart. You respond stoic. Part 3. Prove them wrong quietly. Stoic principle: let your excellence be your response. There's something deeply satisfying about proving someone wrong, especially someone who doubted you, dismissed you, or outright rejected you. Fantasy kicks in fast. You come back stronger, more successful, and finally, they see you. They regret. You win. It's a common daydream. But here's the Stoic twist. Real power isn't in proving them wrong out loud. It's proving them wrong without saying a word. Not through anger, not through arguments, not through your work, through your growth, through your quiet, unstoppable evolution. Rejection as fuel, not fire. Let's be clear. Rejection hurts. That's not up for debate. But what you do with that pain, that's where your life shifts. A Stoic doesn't waste energy on revenge, obsession, or crafting the perfect comeback. They alchemize rejection into refinement, not to get even, but to get better. If they told you you weren't creative enough, start building. If they said you lacked drive, wake up earlier, focus harder. If they called you boring, create a life so rich in color that their gray opinions fade from view. Don't prove them wrong for them, do it for you. Here's where most people go wrong. They turn self-improvement into a performance. The gym photos, the highlight reels, the success stories posted just to make others jealous. That's not Stoicism. That's insecurity in disguise. You don't evolve to get there. Attention. You evolve because it's who you are becoming. The real flex is not that you got better. It's that you no longer care who noticed. You rise for your own reasons. You improve quietly. And you build a life so aligned with your values that even the people who once dismissed you would feel out of place in it. Build your fortress of competence. Let's talk about competence, the underrated superpower. Stoics believed in eretha, Greek concept of virtue through excellence. You don't prove your value by talking about it. You live it. You refine it. You embody it. Think of it like this. The artist who was once told they had no talent sells out a gallery quietly. The entrepreneur who was laughed at for their idea builds in silence, then launches. The overlooked employee becomes the one whose work everyone starts to copy. No announcements, no posts, no look at me. Just relentless improvement behind the scenes. And then one day, the world takes notice, but you don't even flinch. Because recognition was never the point. What Seneca would say, the Stoic writer Seneca said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." This applies to attention, too. When you crave validation, especially from those who once rejected you, you're still chained to them. Stoicism teaches that true wealth is internal. You stop seeking applause and start building legacy, you stop proving yourself and start being yourself. That's not just power. That's freedom. A Stoic blueprint for quiet mastery. Want to turn rejection into excellence? Here's a simple roadmap. 1. Choose your domain. Pick one area of life where the rejection stung the most. Your career, your art, your confidence. Choose it. Point 2. Go deep, not wide. Then scatter your energy, proving you're good at everything. Pick your lane and master it. Point 3. Set silent goals. These are goals you don't share on social media or with the person who doubted you. You do them because they matter to you. 4. Track results, not attention. Measure your growth in skill, discipline, peace, fulfillment, not in likes, views, or envy. 5. Let the outcome speak. When you finally do succeed, you don't need to say, "See? I told you so." Your success already said it. Who are you without their opinion? This is the deepest Stoic question in this lesson. Who are you when no one is watching? When no one is praising you? When the doubters have moved on? If you can answer, still growing, still building, still me, you've already won, because you've detached from external noise and you've committed to internal excellence. That's the goal. Real-life examples of Stoic comebacks. Let's take this out of theory and into the real world. 1. The rejected creator. An aspiring filmmaker gets turned down by every major studio. They don't rant online. They start filming with friends on weekends. 5 years later, their YouTube channel becomes a phenomenon, and the same studios come calling. Point 2. The overlooked athlete. Benched for most of high school. Trains solo at dawn. Gets picked up by a small college. Works harder than everyone. Ends up with a scholarship. Nobody saw the grind, but the scoreboard did. Point 3. The ghosted entrepreneur. Their idea was dismissed. Investors laughed. Friends disappeared. Quietly they keep building. One day, it's a real business. Profitable. Independent. No big announcement. Just quiet freedom. The Stoic takeaway. Proving someone wrong feels good, but proving yourself right, that's life-changing. The next time you're rejected, overlooked, or dismissed, don't spiral. Don't argue. Don't post. Don't explain. Go quiet. Go deep. Go build. Let them wonder. Let them hear whispers of your evolution. Let them realize too late that they missed witnessing something extraordinary. But you won't care, because you'll be too busy living the life you created for yourself. Part 4. Remove them from your mind. Stoic principle. Detachment is clarity. There's a trap we all fall into after rejection. We replay conversations. We analyze messages. We revisit their social media. We ask ourselves, what did I do wrong? Could I have fixed it? What are they doing now? It feels like we've let go. But really, they're still living in our minds. Rent-free. The Stoics have a word for this call on attachment. Not love. Not grief. Not passion. Attachment. And according to Stoicism, it is the root of all unnecessary suffering. So today's lesson is not just about moving on. It's about freeing your mind. And finally, fully removing them. Why you can't let go yet. Let's unpack why the brain latches on. You weren't just rejected, you were disrupted. Your routine, your plans, your sense of stability, all shifted. And in that vacuum, your mind scrambles for meaning. Why did they stop caring? Was I not enough? Will they come back? The mind doesn't care if the thoughts are painful. It just wants something to loop. Because even pain is easier than uncertainty. But here's the Stoic truth. Just because a thought keeps returning doesn't mean it deserves to stay. You can choose your thoughts like you choose your company. And not everyone or every thought deserves a seat at your table. The art of inner space. Imagine your mind as a room. Each person you allow in takes up space, energy, attention, emotional bandwidth. So ask yourself, is this person's presence still serving me? If not, it's time to escort them out, politely, quietly, completely. You're not being cruel. You're reclaiming clarity. You're choosing to decorate your mind with peace, not the noise of someone who's no longer present in your life. What Epictetus would say, some things are up to us, and some things are not. You can't control someone's choices, but you can control how much space you give them inside your head. The Stoic path is one of radical ownership, not of others, of yourself, your thoughts, your focus, your peace. It's not easy, but it's the most powerful shift you can make. How to remove someone from your mind, Stoic style. This isn't about pretending you don't care. It's about retraining your brain to care about something more valuable, your present. Here's how. Interrupt the loop. Each time they pop into your mind, pause. Take a deep breath and say, not now, not here. You're not resisting the thought, you're redirecting it. Reassign the focus. Have a replacement thought or activity ready. Music, movement, reading, journaling. The mind needs somewhere else to go. Choose wisely. Do a digital detox. Mute, unfollow, archive, delete. This isn't petty, it's mental hygiene. Protect your peace like you protect your health. Create new neural paths. Take on something challenging. A course, a new fitness goal, a side project. Not to distract, but to reshape your narrative. Journal the exit. Write them a goodbye letter. Don't send it. Get it all out. Then delete, burn, or tear it up. It's symbolic but incredibly effective. Build the life they no longer fit into. You don't just move on by erasing them. You move on by expanding yourself so much that they no longer fit into the picture. Think about that. When you grow, evolve, deepen, certain people simply fall off the map. Not because of hate, but because of misalignment. Your path is curved upward, and they were meant to stay behind. Keep walking. Real life detachment looks like this. You stop checking their page, and you realize you didn't even miss it. You hear their name, and your stomach doesn't drop anymore. You see someone like them, but you keep walking. You don't flinch. You think of them. But instead of spiraling, you smile because you're at peace. Detachment is not forgetting. It's remembering without pain. It's emotional fluency. It's freedom, the hidden gift of letting go. There's a truth people rarely say out loud. Sometimes, what you think you lost was never really yours. And when you finally let go, you realize you were clinging to a version of them, not the reality. You created a story in your mind, and removing them isn't about erasing them. It's about deleting the fantasy. That's the moment you're free. The Stoic takeaway: removing someone from your mind is not erasure, it's liberation. Are not a storage space for ghosts. You are not a monument to memories that no longer nourish you. You are a living, evolving human being, and your mind is sacred real estate. Treat it that way. Don't rent it out to people who don't care for its beauty. Choose what thoughts stay. Choose what memories linger. Choose yourself. And in that sacred choice, you'll find peace, not because they came back, but because you came home to yourself. Part 5. Give them the silent treatment. Stoic principle. Let your silence do the talking. Rejection hurts. Ghosting hurts. Being iced out hurts. Getting shut down hurts. And what do we often do when it happens? We chase. We explain. We over-communicate. We try to fix something that's already gone silent, but here's a Stoic strategy that turns the power dynamic upside down. Silence, not to manipulate, not to punish, but to reclaim your dignity and return home to your center. This isn't a tantrum. It's not revenge. It's self-respect in action. The power of strategic silence. Let's be real. When someone disrespects you, your first instinct might be to fight for their attention. But silence isn't weakness. It's deliberate strength. When done with intention. Silence signals boundaries without a word, communicates confidence, reclaims emotional space. Mystery breaks dependency. Stoic silence isn't about playing mind games. It's about breaking cycles. That you stop engaging in drama. You stop participating in confusion. You stop investing energy where it's not reciprocated. The inner message of silence here. Ask what your silence says without saying it. I don't need to explain myself to be valid. I don't need closure to heal. I don't need attention to feel whole. That kind of stillness. Unshakable. It tells the world, and more importantly, yourself, that your peace is not up for debate. What Marcus Aurelius would say. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." When someone treats you with disregard, don't mirror it. Don't retaliate. Be different. Be better. Be quiet. Silence is how you exit battles that are beneath you. It's how you conserve energy for things that actually matter. When to use the silent treatment. Stoically, this isn't ghosting. It's not emotional punishment. It's clarity. Use Stoic silence when you're being disrespected. Repeatedly, you've already communicated your needs, and they were ignored. You feel emotionally drained by constant explaining. The other person thrives on drama. You're seeking peace more than answers. This kind of silence isn't passive. It's intentional. It says, I'm done arguing. I'm done proving. I'm just done. The 3 phases of Stoic silence. Let's break this into a framework you can use. Phase 1. The withdrawal. Step back. No calls, no texts, no passive-aggressive stories. Just step out. This isn't about hoping they notice. It's about not needing them. 2. Phase 2. The reflection. Use this time for you. Journal. Recenter. Ask yourself, why was I so entangled in their approval? What unmet need was I trying to fill through them? This silence becomes a cocoon, not a prison. Phase 3. The re-entry. If necessary, if you must re-engage, do so calmly, on your terms. No drama, no old patterns. Your silence has cleared space. Now you speak not from desperation, but from strength. And if they never reach out again, let that be your final answer. Real-world example. The power of pulling back. Picture this. You've been texting someone consistently. Suddenly, they stop replying. Days go by. You're tempted to double text, triple text, send a meme just to get a reaction. Instead, you go silent. You stop chasing. You stop explaining. What happens? Sometimes they come back surprised by your absence. But more importantly, you come back to yourself. You realize your attention is a gift. And not everyone knows how to treat it with care. Silence as a mirror. Silence doesn't just send a message to them. It reflects one back to you. I'm learning to sit with discomfort instead of reacting. I'm stronger than my urge to be validated. I'm building emotional independence. You become your own source of calm. You stop needing closure to feel complete. You stop needing applause to feel worthy. You stop outsourcing your peace to people who can't hold it. Silence does not equal suppression. Let's be clear. Stoic silence doesn't mean you bottle everything up. It doesn't mean you pretend everything's okay. It means you deal with your emotions privately. with maturity, with clarity, with discipline. You cry, then clean your face. Journal, then close the book. You feel, then move forward. This isn't denial. It's direction. The Stoic takeaway when rejection hits, and your first instinct is to reach out, to fix, to fight. Pause. And consider silence. Not as punishment, but as a reset. Moment to withdraw from the noise and return to your inner stillness. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing. Say less. Hold more. Stay still. Move on. Part 6. Demonstrate your value. Stoic principle. Let your worth shine without saying a word. Let's say you've been overlooked, ignored at work, underestimated in a relationship, dismissed by people who just don't see what you bring to the table. Your instinct? To prove yourself. Loudly, desperately, publicly. But here's what the Stoics knew long before social media existed. True value doesn't beg to be seen. It simply is. It doesn't shout. It shows. It doesn't chase. It rises. And when rejection happens, that's your cue not to get louder, but to get better. What rejection reveals, that compliments never will. When someone rejects you, it feels like they've robbed you of value. But here's the truth. Their rejection didn't subtract anything from you. It only revealed what they couldn't see. That's not your fault, but it is your opportunity. Rejection forces you to look inward and ask, where am I already valuable? Where have I been hiding my strengths? How can I start showing up more fully? Not for them, but for me? What Seneca would say. Seneca once wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." This applies directly to how we deal with rejection. When you obsess over being ignored or overlooked, you waste time trying to convince people. But the Stoic way? Spend that time becoming undeniable. Undeniable in your skill, in your character, in your consistency. Don't announce it. Just live it. Let your life tell the story. 5 ways to demonstrate value without needing validation. This isn't about proving your worth to the one who walked away. It's about building a life so rich that their absence no longer matters. 1. Refine a skill. Quietly pick something you're already good at. Now master it. Write better, speak better, lead better. Don't wait for someone to validate it. Just get better because you can. 2. Lead where you stand. Didn't get the title? Be the leader anyway. Own your role, elevate others, and embody integrity, even without recognition. People will notice. And even if they don't, you're growing. 3. Let consistency be your loudest trait. Nothing beats consistency. Not charm, not talent, not even genius. Show up daily, do what you say, and follow through. Over time that becomes your brand. They always deliver. 4. Document. Don't boast. Share your journey without ego. Post your progress, not your pain. This isn't about showing off. It's about showing up with humility and pride. 5. Invest in others. You want to be valuable? Add value, mentor someone, uplift someone. Contribute in ways that don't serve your ego, but serve your community. Build a life that shows, not tells. Imagine this. Someone rejected you because they didn't believe in your vision. Fast forward 2 years. You never once tried to convince them. You didn't argue. You didn't send a "look at me now" message. But today you're living in full alignment. Doing meaningful work. Surrounded by people who get it. Calm, confident, purposeful. That is the ultimate demonstration of value. No mic drop required. The cycle of growth. After rejection. Rejection, you're dismissed. It stings. Reflection, you ask, what does this pain reveal about me? Redirection, you pivot. Reinvest in yourself. Reinvention, you improve. Not to win them back, but to never need them again. This is what Stoic resilience looks like in motion. You use rejection, not get used by it. Real life example. The invisible genius meet Maya. Maya works hard, shows up early, delivers results, but no promotion. No recognition. Instead of complaining, she creates her own project. She solves a problem no one else saw. 6 months later, leadership finally notices, but by then, she doesn't need their approval anymore. She's already built value they can't ignore. That's Stoic power. Quiet, focused, relentless. The Stoic takeaway: didn't react to rejection by shrinking. Don't argue. Don't explain. Don't beg to be seen. Rise. Quietly, relentlessly. Let the world feel your absence. Let your growth make the noise. Let your life demonstrate your worth. Not to prove someone wrong, but to prove to yourself, I've always had value. I just stopped hiding it. Part 7. Be kind but emotionally distant. Stoic principle. Compassion without dependence. Let's be honest. When someone ignores you or pushes you away, your emotions take over. You want to lash out. You want to show them how hurt you are. Or worse, you want to win them back. But what if you didn't do either? What if instead you responded with kindness and distance? No bitterness, no revenge, no emotional collapse. Just quiet composure. That's the Stoic way. Kill them with kindness and boundaries. The Stoic approach to rejection isn't icy silence or fake forgiveness. It's this: I will still treat you with respect, but I will no longer allow you to influence my emotional climate. You see, you can be polite without being emotionally open. You can greet them at the coffee machine, smile when passing by, say thank you when necessary, but you don't owe them vulnerability. You don't owe them emotional access. You don't owe them your peace. The strength behind the smile. People often mistake kindness for weakness, but the Stoics knew the truth. Being kind while detached is the ultimate strength. It says, I'm not spiteful, I'm not needy. I'm just free. You're not holding a grudge. You're holding a boundary. You're not playing cold. You're practicing emotional discipline. And that's far more powerful than any outburst or breakdown. What Epictetus would say. Epictetus taught, keep your attention focused entirely on what is truly your own concern. Their opinions? Not your concern. Their mood swings? Not your concern. Their coldness? Still not your concern. But your behavior? Your emotional state? Your character? That's your domain. So choose composure. Choose peace. Choose kindness without attachment. How to be kind yet distant without feeling fake. This isn't about being robotic or inauthentic. It's about creating healthy emotional distance. Here's how. 1. Set the tone, not the temperature. You decide how warm or cool your energy is. A simple "Hey, how's it going?" is enough. No need for deep sharing or awkward avoidance. 2. Respond. Don't engage if they speak. You respond respectfully, but without emotional investment. Short, clear, neutral replies. This isn't passive aggression. It's emotional conservation. 3. No emotional oversharing. They no longer have access to your inner world. You don't owe them updates, confessions, or emotional explanations. Let them wonder how you're doing. Your silence creates clarity. 4. Keep it light, not intimidate or cordial, not cold, friendly, not familiar. There's a difference, and it makes all the difference. Why this works, psychologically and spiritually. Kindness without emotional attachment sends a strong subconscious signal. You no longer have control over my happiness. It destabilizes people who expect you to beg, break down, or react. It calms your nervous system because you're not constantly bracing for disappointment. It reinforces your self-worth because you're not relying on their response for your identity. And spiritually, it aligns you with peace, grace, dignity. Real-life example, the quiet rise take. Jonah. He was rejected by a close friend in a way that was cold and sudden. Instead of chasing an explanation or creating drama, Jonah chose the high road. He kept being kind, but he stopped opening up. He didn't unfriend, but he unfollowed emotionally. 6 months later, he's glowing up in silence, new job, new friendships, new inner calm, and his old friend? Watching from the sidelines, unsure how Jonah stayed so solid. That's the Stoic way. Build emotional boundaries like brick walls, not to keep people out, but to protect what's sacred. When you respond to indifference with calm kindness, you're no longer reacting. You're leading. You're not being a doormat, you're being a fortress. A warm, peaceful, gated fortress. The Stoic takeaway: rejection is not an invitation to turn bitter. It's an invitation to become better. Be kind, because it's who you are. Be distant, because it's what you need. This balance creates true freedom. You stop depending on their attention. You stop personalizing their behavior. You stop clinging to people who aren't clinging back. And in that space, you don't just survive rejection, you transcend it. Kind eyes, strong heart, calm distance. That's the way of the Stoic. Rejection isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of your becoming. You've now walked through 7 Stoic truths, each one a silent revolution. You've learned that silence speaks, distance protects, and your value is never up for debate. This wasn't just a video, it was a mirror. And if you saw strength staring back, you're already changing. If something in this resonated, leave a comment with just one word. Silence does not mean retreat. To mark the moment you chose power over reaction, subscribe. Stay close, and when the world grows loud again, remember, your silence is your strength. Your calm is your rebellion. Your life is yours.